Hi, third grade teachers. My name is Catherine, and today we're going to be discussing the importance of image analysis using captioning. And hopefully by the end of this lesson, you'll learn some protocols for analyzing images with captioning, and you'll get a chance to see and think about some sample lessons that incorporate image analysis. So these are the next gen learning standards that are covered when you use a technique such as captioning. There are also several New York State social studies framework standards that are also covered when you use a technique like captioning for image analysis. Now, we've talked before about why we have students analyze images. It helps to draw attention to details. It's a great way to find how to use images as historical evidence. It helps students gain a contextual understanding of the topic you're studying. It helps kids make sense of events and ideas of the past, a particular culture or a world community, and it helps them to make connections and predictions based on the images that you've displayed. Now, there are several different strategies for analyzing images, but today we're going to focus on captioning and inferring, which is something that inherently happens when you caption a picture. You have to infer certain things about it. Why would we use captioning in our social studies classrooms? Well, for one, it supports students in utilizing nonfiction text features when discerning and inferring information provided. We know from literacy teaching that nonfiction text features are really important to understanding the main idea of a text and to analyzing author's purpose, and the same is true in the social studies classroom as well. Additionally, having students create captions provides a unique means of representation for students to demonstrate their understanding. So instead of just writing an essay or writing a reading response about what they understand, captioning allows kids to express their understanding in a new and different way. Creating captions is also a great opportunity for students to employ additional literacy skills, such as figurative language or other description, ways to describe an image that you don't normally get to do when you're talking nonfiction. And lastly, showing students images with captions creates a print-rich environment and encourages a full analysis necessary for any visual source of information. So you would never want a student to just look at a picture and not look at the other information provided on the page. You really want them to hone in and think about the details that are provided in and around an image. There are different instructional considerations for when and how to use captioning. So one way is to incorporate other analysis strategies in tandem with captioning. So while you're practicing captioning or focusing in on captioning, you might also want to include the quadrant analysis or the See, Think, Wonder routine or other strategies to help kids think about the images that they're studying. A great instructional consideration to use when teaching a lesson with captioning is to model or think aloud so that students can really get a sense of what your process is as a model for them when they're doing their work independently. You might want to have students create a caption. You might do this in an I do, we do, you do fashion, where you model how to make a caption, you create one together, and then you have students go off independently. Or you might want to have students determine key details, main ideas, etc., through their reading of captions. You might want to have students consider or evaluate whether captions are appropriate for an image. So this really helps them evaluate main idea, author's purpose. It gets them thinking critically and thinking about bias and why somebody might have included a caption. You can also have students match a caption to an image. So this is a great way to build on content understanding, right? If you've got an image of something specific, what caption would go best with that image? You might want to also have students practice giving each other feedback. This is another way of evaluating, looking at another student's caption and saying whether they think it's appropriate, whether they think it's got enough detail, etc. And you might want to elicit student responses to questions about captions, such as the purpose or the significance of a caption. And lastly, a great instructional consideration is to connect thinking about captions or creating captions to the 5 W's when considering a specific event or a historical perspective: who, what, when, why, where, how. Those are all great questions to include. Here's some lessons from the Passport curriculum that use captioning. So we're going to start out in Unit 1, our first unit, our Introduction to World Communities. This is a lesson on defining culture. And the objective of this lesson is to help students continue to define culture, so they're developing it through analysis of images with captions. So they start out by looking at an image and thinking, what is a common tradition at Thanksgiving dinner? You then introduce that images can be a powerful source of information, and we need to make sure we're examining the photographs, the captions, everything on the page. Here is an image that they will then analyze that has a great caption explaining what it is. And this image will come up again when they move on to their case study of Egypt. Now, once they've looked at the images and they've looked and read the caption, then they're going to complete the Getting the Most Visual Information graphic organizer. So they're going to write what they see, the facts that they've learned from the caption, and what it makes them think. This is a great way to incorporate thinking about captions with another image analysis tool, the Getting the Most from Visual Information tool. They then go off and work independently on what you've just on the same activity you've just modeled. So here's another Egyptian artifact with a caption. Here's a photograph of Chinese New Year with a caption. Here is a Nigerian tradition, a wedding tradition with a caption. And they're going to end by thinking, how do visuals and pictures help them understand what culture means? Another lesson that incorporates captioning is this lesson on diagrams and illustrations of Peru. So this is in the case study of Peru. The objective here is for students to analyze photographs and illustrations to then create a diagram. So they start by thinking about the ways that information can be presented, and then they take a look carefully at the parts of a photograph. So they see what's in the photograph, and then they look at the caption and think about what the purpose of a caption is to help a reader get more information about a photograph and help them understand it. Now, this lesson also highlights that if you don't read the caption, you're going to miss out on important information that would help you understand the picture. I mean, I might look at this monkey and not know who, where, what. Then this lesson ends with them creating diagrams and labels using the photographs, illustrations, and captions that they have to look through. So one way that you could extend any of your lessons that incorporate captioning is to analyze author bias by evaluating what was chosen to be included in the caption. Think about what's excluded from the caption and discuss why those choices might have been made by the author. You might also want children to consider captions from different contexts. For example, a caption for a diagram versus a caption for a photograph, a caption for a political cartoon, or a caption within a nonfiction book versus a caption within a nonfiction article. Have them start to observe the differences and think about how captioning can be used in different ways. I hope that you will consider teaching a lesson that incorporates captioning as a method for image analysis. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.